If private tutoring is viewed as a supplementary to mainstream education, I think it's only natural that some individuals may want to pursue additional opportunities to study a specific topic in more depth, or to perhaps get more help on a subject where they're falling behind. However, if they need private tutoring to actually receive a complete education in the mainstream schooling, then it becomes a problem. There are situations that we know of where full mainstream education is not any longer available without private tutoring. There are some cases in Azerbaijan and in other countries of the former Soviet Union where teachers only teach part of the curriculum in the mainstream class, and they rely on private tutoring to provide the remaining information to their students. So what happens then is that the public education system becomes dependent on private tutoring to ensure success, educational success for all students. And those who cannot pay for this part of education, for the private tutoring part of education, they miss out on the quality of education and on kind of the complete and holistic educational experience that mainstream schools are supposed to offer to their citizens. What happens is that there is a major impact on citizenship. The society then becomes divided along the socioeconomic lines. We have suddenly students in the class that are perceived as dumb or less educated or lazy only because they do not have the funds to continue education through private tutoring. During the transition from socialism to capitalism, private tutoring came as one of the main mechanisms of the capitalist market. Suddenly, education became a commodity, and like many other goods, it became for sale. So those individuals who could afford to buy more education could afford a better education and a higher quality of education. Many teachers turn to private tutoring for financial gain. In many of the countries of the former Soviet Union, but also in many developing countries or economically struggling countries, teachers are underfunded. Their salaries often are so meager, they are not enough to ensure the survival of teachers themselves and their families. So oftentimes they pursue private tutoring as a way to supplement their government incomes. Interestingly, though, this has not necessarily been perceived as corrupt or unethical by students or their families. In one of the studies in Kyrgyzstan, for example, we found that communities actually thought that it was their obligation to help the teachers financially, and they thought that private tutoring was a good way to add, some of the financial income to the teachers. Interestingly, private tutoring also became a space where teachers could redefine their professionalism. In the context of neoliberal globalization, teachers' work has become very highly regulated, scripted, and defined by somebody else. No longer teachers are free in their classrooms to decide what to teach, how to teach it, and when to teach it. Very often their teaching profession, or very often their teaching practice has become scripted. And teachers obviously do not like it. In many conversations we had with teachers in Eastern and Central Europe and in the former Soviet Union, there have been references to the good old times during the Soviet times where teachers were part of this very highly respected profession, where they had a major prestige associated with the teaching. Partially, some of it came from this ability to be an authority, to have an authority in the classroom. Nowadays, teachers actually feel that they have lost the authority, and it is in the private tutoring space that they can regain professional authority and they can redefine the teaching profession itself. This becomes a space where they can decide in conversation, in communication with the students and with their parents about what education is and what education should be. The downfall of this is that it becomes a very individualistic pursuit, and teachers, what it means is that teachers are acting individually. They are not a part of the collective teaching profession, which can have a major voice in policymaking.